Welcome to Storm in a Teacup, live from Forrest Long's estate, where I have no idea what I'm talking about, but neither do these guys.
That was
Brandon.
That was great. See how
For 10 minutes, he deliberated with us. Should I say this? Hold on, let me ask Kirsten what to say. And then he finally come up with that. Killed it.
That was the most professional intro we've ever had in the history of this podcast.
Brandon Bergin. That was Brandon Bergin's voice. The first time it's ever chimed in on the Storm in a Teacup. This is exciting, at least to us.
It's beyond exciting, and we have a surprise for you that'll be debuted probably like mid-show. You'll never even know it coming. I'm not going to spoil it for you now, but just wait for it. So what I'm saying is, don't fast forward to the end of this episode and listen to the outro music. Wait and listen to everything.
He'll pop in and surprise you at unexpected moments, shirtless.
It's good though.
Or she, right?
He or she.
He or she. Because we're not sexist down here.
If you could see one games athlete shirtless female, who would that be?
Brandon says Emily Friedman.
Who's not going to the games? Spoiler alert, Teacuppers. Friedman not going back.
Are you sure?
It's over for us.
All right. So let's honestly
watch the end.
Telena Fortunato or Lauren Brooks? Who is it? Which one? Go.
Why are those the only two choices? I mean, between those two, I'm going LB, but only because my man Lex is here.
Oh,
but he's smurfing with Telena tomorrow.
What is that, like smurfing?
Yeah.
It's like LARPing, actually.
Do I need to get on Urban Dictionary and Google this Murphing? Or what?
Yeah, Google Murphing. Murphing for...
Do a Google image search and to make sure your safe search is off.
Am I getting linked to Meat Spin? If I get linked to Meat Spin, I'm going to be very upset.
What is this, 1990? Come on, man. Goodness gracious.
So what are we talking about today? For real.
Brandon?
Is this the pre-show? Are we doing the pre-show right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what the pre-show goes like, but no. So I think we have the privilege of having two regionals athletes with us. Brandon, the mythical beast, Unicorn Bergin, and Alex Anderson. And so two different regionals, Southeast for Mr. Bergin and Central East for Alex Anderson. And so we're going to kind of dive into what we briefly touched on last episode, and we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts about it. There's been a couple of, I don't want to say surprises, but a couple of veterans that have not made the actual CrossFit Games. And I think we wanted to kind of use their experience as a measuring stick to understand, what's really going on here. There's been a lot of chatter among the social medias, and we just wanted to get their take, and then maybe kind of dive into the this and that of the regionals programming, and do we think that it does a good job of testing fitness overall?
You just spoke for as long as Taylor usually speaks.
I apologize. Damn it. I'm clocking out. I'm done.
We're sharing a mic, so we have to he's speaking for me right now.
You're speaking through him.
Are you channeling your inner layman?
I think what'll be fun actually is, and I'm gonna. So Brandon and Alex are a little nervous, obviously.
To be on a podcast with this many listeners is pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I totally understand that. But Brandon, just imagine all of the listeners at home naked, and you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable.
Which most of them are, because they're on the crapper right now, which is where our podcast belongs.
We really compliment toilet humor, folks.
Forrest, say something.
Hi.
Okay, so Forrest is here. I just wanted people to know that.
Alex, we haven't heard Alex.
Can you say something to the mic?
Hello.
All right, there we go.
I'm sharing a mic with Alex Anderson. How jealous are you right now?
Ladies,
Podcast
his face
land.
is so close to Alex's.
And he's shirtless in my backyard. Step up.
There are so many open beers around all these laptops. It's making me so nervous.
Not mine.
I'm never going to be fully committed to the podcast.
Forrest's laptop is so close to being dead anyway, though.
I
feel no guilt about spilling all over that.
It's just putting it out of its misery, really.
Similar to Forrest's dog.
I was about to say closer to death than his dog, or less than.
Fair.
Dicks.
Yeah,
Very
we should
fair.
take bets who's gonna die first, the dog or the computer.
Y'all are never invited back.
Oh, Alex, you don't have to tell Forrest that you're kidding. We just give him that crap all the time, man. You just throw it at him the
his
whole time.
self-esteem is so low. It really...
I thought Brandon was on the bottom of the old scrotum pole today. He was going to get the verbal beating.
Forrest wrote that 6 weeks ago and has been waiting to use it.
for so
That
long.
was good.
I wrote that in high school.
So this is how we'll bring them in because I know they're both a little new to the podcasting. I want to ask them both, and I'm going to have Brandon answer first. At what point in the Open did you sit back and go, man, I'm about to go to regionals. I'm going to be a regionals athlete? Because, I mean, that's a big deal, especially now in the sport that's, 4 or 5 years into this kind of iteration of how it works for qualifying.
Back in 2011, who cares? It wasn't a big deal.
I know, yeah. I feel like Taylor Lehman made it back then.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't
was
even
a
matter.
joke.
It doesn't
It was a
even matter.
joke.
So at what point, Brandon, in this Open, were you like, I'm going to be a regionals athlete?
Let's see. The deadline was Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern, so 8:01 p.m. Eastern on Monday. No, but seriously, I was at the bottom of the qualifying rung the entire time. I think the highest I was ever placed was like 37th, and even going into the last week, I was like 41st, I think. So I was confident, hoping, but wasn't sure until the final results were in and the leaderboard was set. So, and even then, it was still a week of, pained waiting for the video submission and waiting for everybody to accept their invites.
And where did you finish in the Open?
40th.
Okay.
So sounds like things were always kind of like on pins and needles. Whenever you were training from week to week and doing these Open workouts, how many times did you do each workout?
I did no workout less than twice, and I did 2 of them 3 times, including the last one.
Did
How many workouts did you do 7 times?
None. Three was the
whenever you did those workouts 3 different times, was it always the last workout that was the best?
Yes. My
Really?
second and third go-rounds were the best every time. The last one I did was the best every time. Improved every time.
Now let me ask this question: whose programming did you follow, and was that programming specifically for the Open?
I follow ProvingGroundsDGA.com, written by Aaron Evans. Shameless
Name
plug.
drop.
He's also
And-
wearing Provoke clothing right now. He's a sponsored athlete. He's on the Facebook page.
Taylor's making all comments. He steps up to the mic and he grabs his package the entire time he speaks. It's perfect.
Goosey, man. I've been shooting guns today. I don't know. It feels right.
What was the question?
Yeah, there was no more. You're done. So Alex Anderson, same question to you. At what point in the Open? This is great. We have 2 polar opposite ends of Open athletes here. At what point in the Open did you say, okay, I'm going to regionals?
So after week 1 submission, right?
The focus for me was never the Open. I was training for regionals the whole year, so I quit my day job to do this. So I couldn't just train for the Open. If I couldn't make it to regionals, I wouldn't be doing this. So
it's safe to say that if you didn't expect to go to regionals, you would not have left your job.
exactly.
Yeah, you had a kind of a singular focus on regionals.
Yeah.
Taylor has a joke. Hold on, I'm gonna let him go.
What did you? And where did? No, I was gonna say what. And where did you finish in the Open? In the
third
region?
in the Central East.
But it wasn't a clear third, was it?
It was a tie for third.
With whom?
Mr. Holmberg.
We've been rooting for Yins for a long
We
time.
rooting for Jens, Graham.
Now, how did you feel about that finish in the Open? Was that where you wanted to be?
Yeah. I was very happy about my Open finish. I figured the Open workouts wouldn't really cater to me as much as the regionals workouts would because generally lighter movements and whatnot. So I was definitely very happy with the finish. And I did have to repeat some of the workouts. I wanted to do each of them one time and just continue training for regionals, but I just wasn't happy with some of my scores, so I had to repeat some of them.
Now you had the opposite outcome on a couple.
Yeah.
You didn't always
correct.
do better, right?
The chipper is the one I didn't do better on. I actually did not significantly worse, but I think I was probably like 10 reps short or 10 calories short, I guess,
Yeah.
of my original score. So that was pretty disappointing.
Was there another one?
I don't think so. I can't remember which ones I did not repeat. I know I didn't repeat the deadlift one. Was there another one that you remember?
Did you do the overhead squat chest to bar?
Twice, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ripped
And
both times.
you
Yeah.
improved-
Yeah.
Okay. And were you following programming specific for regionals?
I was about to say,
Indeed,
man,
yeah.
we got to break this up because I'm looking at the coach of Alex Anderson and I'm looking at Alex Anderson.
Basically standing here, giving each other hand jobs, like, oh, great
It's
job.
a Dutch rudder. It's a Dutch rudder.
Double Dutch rudder. Hashtag Scalf trained. So Grant Scalf, my programmer and coach, did a great job.
So anything else about Open? We're going to talk more about the Open.
Let's get on to the juicy
Well,
stuff.
before we move to that, which
The sponsorship plug. The Umbrella Corporation is has sponsored this one.
It's actually raining today, so that's
I
kind
actually
of.
feel like we're sponsored by Smith and Forge Hard Cider this week, guaranteed to keep you podcasting strong.
Been drinking a lot of it today. Before
smells like
we go
apples.
on to the regionals, and I guess this kind of applies to regionals. Whenever it comes to gauging a whole, like CrossFit always talks about, testing, having the ability to test fitness through, whatever their definition is, and we'll get to that a little bit later, I feel like. But I want you guys to tell me how well you think the Open tested fitness in general.
Brandon Bergin.
Well, the Open by definition is flawed, but I think as far as what
Can you explain that?
the entire process, there's no other way to test 200,000 people and find 48 times, whatever it was, to qualify for regionals without some sort of online mass system of doing it. But that can't be perfect. Everybody's doing the workouts in their garage with their own judges on their own time, their own equipment. It's not going to be standardized like regionals are. So even though it's flawed by definition, I think the Open this year especially was the best Open for testing fitness yet. Now, was it perfect? No, but it can't be perfect. And by perfect, I mean what people expect to see at regional events, games events, HQ-sponsored events that are run that aren't as logistically
So when you say what
challenging.
people are expect to see, to my mind, that means athletes who qualify from the Open to regionals. Like if you finish third in the Open, you are a quality athlete who is going to crush and do very well at regionals. And is that what you mean when you say what people expect, or do you mean just
No,
athletes who are very capable and are going to represent themselves well? Or
I'm saying the movements and the kind of equipment and the workouts people expect from regionals and the games. The Open, there's only so much you can do that people have access to and can perform. I mean, we saw the heaviest. We saw 365-pound deadlifts for the men in the Open this year. If you got that far,
Did you see those?
I didn't see those. I brought the weights out just in case.
No, but Taylor, I think you're absolutely right with what you said. For most regions, I would say those top athletes you saw in the Open are going to be top at regionals too. For the most part, there's always exceptions, but the cream is going to rise to the top.
I totally agree with you guys. I think this year's Open was the best, and I also agree that it wasn't perfect, but it's like you said, it's inherently flawed. But I think this year, you saw more than ever before. I think you saw the athletes who qualified in whatever position they qualified in the Open going to regionals, representing themselves well. Even if they don't, there's obviously movement in the leaderboard or whatever, but it's the closest they've gotten so far. Yeah. And so, in past years, like in 2011, for example, and there were probably 15 people that just, you clearly probably didn't belong at regionals. Couldn't do movements, whatever.
Are you speaking from, are you saying you didn't belong at regionals?
Yeah, I had no business at regionals.
He did get cut.
Effing Dan Bailey, golly.
Too soon.
Hey, I still finished 16th. What'd you finish, bro?
I think our team finished 5th.
That does sting. I don't want to talk about the Open the whole time, and I know Grant has something he wants to say, so I'm going to let him say it.
Cool, Caleb.
Yeah, this was a good year for the Open, guys. Let's talk about regionals.
Real city dog.
Before we go on to the regionals, this is kind of my segue into regionals, do you think that there's kind of this three stops along the way to get to the fittest, to capture the fittest on earth? Who is the fittest on earth? It's like you have the Open, then you have the regionals, and then you have the games, and all three of those things look very different. What, in your two opinions, how well should each of them test overall fitness? Do you think that each one of them needs to test fitness independently or collectively?
Well, like Brandon said originally, obviously in the Open you're going to be fairly limited just due to equipment and just movements that people are going to be able to do because they want to target larger demographics and make a little more money, of course, and get more people plugged into CrossFit. So that's one thing to think about.
Do you think that's a good way to test fitness, or do you think it's kind of limited by logistics?
I mean, I think it does a good job. I mean, they're definitely limited, but like we said, that you're still going to see the good athletes rise to the top and qualify for regionals. So it doesn't make a huge difference. And at the same time, they're also plugging in new CrossFitters and giving everyone a chance to compete.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, real quick, inside of this question, inside of you, Taylor,
He's not inside me.
do you think?
Not yet.
Do you think that collectively all three stops, the placings should be the same? Like you should see the top 5 or 10 athletes along all 3 stops?
Ideally, you would, and that's what CrossFit expects. So they're writing the Castro, whoever the powers that be at the CrossFit Games, the Open and Regionals are merely roads to the Games. In their mind, the top athletes in the Open will be the top athletes at Regionals, will be tops at the Games, no matter what the programming is. Now, up until this year, that's worked out in their favor. This year is the first year we're seeing people like Sam Briggs, Graham Holmberg, whoever these top athletes that aren't qualifying for the Games. And maybe that speaks to the regionals programming. Maybe it speaks to the parity of the sport. Whatever it is, that's their programming as a three-stop journey.
That they're all on their way out, right, Forrest?
Yes, actually, everybody who qualifies for the games this year is on their way out. But no, I mean, this shows you the deficiencies of certain athletes. Like if you look at Samantha Briggs across the board, she killed everything except for handstand walk. Yeah, and she's not.
Does it show you the deficiencies across the board, or does it just show you one specific deficiency in which it is testing heavily? Pussy ass.
How in one sentence do you both like totally negate what you're trying to say and pause it? Like it's just I don't know how you do it.
Skill.
Sales.
Oh, don't trust
So
the
I think
pharmacist.
that collectively, no dead air on radio. Someone save us. I think that collectively, that's how it should be viewed. Is like, yeah, I think in a perfect world that you see Taylor's going to drip salsa on my computer. I know he's going to.
And he's going to chew into the microphone and hold his package while doing it.
So I think collectively you want to see kind of the top athletes in the top 5 or 10 in the damn it Taylor, the top 5 or 10 to be the same across the board, Open, Regionals, and Games. In a perfect world, but I think like Alex said, the Open's also a great time it's a business. You got to make your money. You got to be bringing fresh blood in. So it's going to be a little bit different. But I do think that so far, collectively, this has been the first kind of 2 stops along the way, the Open and Regionals. Carry on, Taylor.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just opening that. Where are we going with this? I don't know.
Where's my napkin? Where's my napkin?
What's the question?
So there is no question. He just left us hanging with dead air.
All right,
Great
so
job, Grant.
my question was independently, the 3 stops along the way, the Open, Regionals, the Games. Is CrossFit on the hook for independently testing all aspects of fitness? And I keep kind of coming back to these 10 skills that CrossFit always talks about, in which are parts of fitness and testing fitness. It's measurable, it's repeatable, all these things. Should those things be tested every single year equally? And do you think they were tested? In a roundabout way, I feel like you were saying no, they weren't tested equally in the Open. But do you think that
at each level, at Open, Regionals, and Games, should they all be tested? Like, should there be stuff that's left out? Like, should there be major things that are left out of the Open, left out of Regional? Stuff that's tested in the Open, not tested. That's not tested at the Open, tested at Regional. Stuff that is tested in the Open, not tested at Regionals.
Like weight on deadlifts. Should
deadlifts.
This is the first time that deadlifts have been closer to in weight than in the Regionals or at the Games for the Open.
And then chest to bar pull-ups in the Open, not at Regionals. Toes to bar in the Open, not at Regionals. Double unders for individuals in the Open, not at Regionals. That sort of thing.
I feel
or should
like
they test that at every single thing?
I feel like maybe we can say no to this because, I mean, there's only so much you can do at the Open level. At the Games, yes, you can do a softball toss, try to keep it in the lanes and show
softball toss? What of all events?
Because
Forrest, take us back to the Rogue versus Again Faster real quick.
Seriously, if we could all just do the Again Faster versus Rogue and watch Manimal and Chris Spieler just do that like every time, the games would be so much better. But you can't test that at the open level. I mean, you can do
All right,
wall ball. You can
so
do wall ball shots.
From
That's-
now
that's-
on, let's just move past the open. I feel like it gets a hall pass. It's
Okay,
like,
yeah.
okay,
has to be
it's
totally different. It has to be totally
is what
different.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
The only
getting
important
money.
question is, are there any open athletes that didn't qualify for regionals that would have qualified for the games? If the answer is no to that question, then the open did its job.
Grant Scalf.
No, that's not fair. Well, first of all, that's not fair because some people, their goal isn't to make it to the games because they know there's no way in hell they're going to make it. They just want to go to the regionals so they can get that huge sign that you've got plastered on the side of your car.
because you could look at any one of us and ask the question like, "Do you want to go to the games?" And we'd all be like, "Yes." But then you ask, "Are you committed to going to the games? Do you want to eat right, sleep right, do everything right?" And I'm going to look
Make
at you and
love
say
right.
no because I
Hey,
want to drink
man,
the
Alex-
Smith and Forge hard cider,
whoa.
and I want to dip, and I want to do all the other things.
Alex Anderson did,
I am.
and had Hardee's on the way over here, and he
But
just
yeah.
got real damn close.
He's he's an Anderson. Andersons get a hall pass. So,
They're the
anyways,
Mannings of CrossFit.
like.
Nice. That's kind of true. I like that. Let's
But
put
yeah,
that
I
on a
mean,
t-shirt.
like, not
family photo.
everybody's goal is to go onto the CrossFit Games. So, I mean, the open, like you said, though, is what it is. You can only do so much with it.
So
Go
let's move on past the open. The open gets a hall pass. So within the regionals and the games, let's look at those two things independently. Like how well do you think the games tested or the regionals tested all aspects of quote unquote fitness defined by CrossFit?
out of 10, let's give it sort of like a 0 to 10. 10 being the best, 0
And
being
don't
the
don't
worst.
explain your answer yet, Taylor.
I'm not answering. I'm waiting for Alex and Brandon to say.
I was waiting on the game. The
Brandon says 3.
Whoa.
Out of 10.
Just regionals.
What are all the elements that you're talking about? Is there?
Agility, balance, accuracy, eating,
I
drinking.
I don't know.
Hardness.
Flexing.
yeah, we're saying like gymnastics. Your
Wait. I'm gonna try this. Balance, accuracy, agility, power, speed, balance, coordination,
You did balance twice.
strength, balance.
Dip, dive, dodge.
dodge,
Winning.
dip.
Dip, drive, dodge.
It's the American Dodgeball Association of America.
Damn you guys, I gave it my all.
Could you guys please quit stealing the mic time from my mic partner?
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Forrest.
Alex did 0 to 10 regionals. How did it do? Testing fitness.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really like to rate regionals, or I don't really like to rate any of the programming because in this sport, whatever they throw at us is what we do. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. So I don't like to sit here and complain about what the programming is.
There really aren't. It's so nebulous. There aren't a whole lot of parameters on fitness. So
they can do whatever they want. That's-
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
It's CrossFit. It's a dictatorship.
When you sign up to do this, I mean,
you know what you're getting yourself into.
participant. Like CrossFit's not begging you to come do this.
You're
CrossFit
you're
says-
paying them,
Yeah,
in fact, to
exactly.
come.
So I
But
really,
that-
I love the kind of the differentiation between you and Breyers over here. Seems like Breyers, which for the listeners at home, Breyers is a term I used to call my nutsack. And we appropriately named Brandon Bergin. But I
I didn't
mean-
know that was the.
that is the etymology right there.
Where rabbit.
Affectionately named my nutsack.
He means Breyers in a good way.
Yeah,
He
like
likes his
Brer Rabbit.
nutsack.
That's kind of where the term stemmed from, like the Brer Rabbit. But anyway, so Breyers has put a lot of thought to this, and like most things he does, like he's weighed and measured everything. He's
You have
he
been
has
weighed.
he has it somewhere in a
He's
spreadsheet.
zoned it. He's somehow zoned his thinking.
You have
So
been weighed.
he says
You have
3
been
out of 10
measured.
on the Likert type scale. So I want to give him a chance to talk about this.
Is this scale like the Richter scale? Is it exponential?
No.
Okay, so it's a linear 0 to 10.
Right.
Okay.
What was the question?
Explain your
So-
answer. You said 3.
Well,
Explain
technically,
3.
Likert type is either 5 or 9, but we're gonna go with 9 here. So 9-point scale. You said 3, and as far as measuring all of those aspects of fitness. So I guess if we want to stick to 10, we can say that it measured 3 aspects of fitness well.
I didn't mean it literally like that.
I'm kidding. All right, so tell me what you meant whenever you said it was a 3 out of 10.
Well, compared to regionals in years past, I feel like regionals in years past have very closely mirrored the games in those years as to what to expect and what athletes will be on top. This year heavily favored or was biased towards gymnastics type backgrounds, gymnastics strengths. 6 of the 7 events directly tested gymnastics, and the other one was the snatch, which is still a body awareness, barbell gymnastics, if you want to call it that.
Hold on, they took a break, so let me butt in real quick. Years past, you say regionals tested your idea of fitness better. Would you have done better at regionals personally years past than this year?
Yes.
Do you think there's a correlation with how you view fitness and how you would do at regionals?
No, because unlike Alex Anderson over here, I have no hopes of ever going to the games. My best ever finish would be, top 30 at regionals.
So, Brandon, I would definitely agree with you in that generally the past, 2-3 years, they have taken movements and weights from the games and transferred them to the next regionals, and which they did not do this year. So,
well, they did, but they took too much stuff. I love the idea of testing handstand walks and strict handstand push-ups and legless rope climbs and all this gymnastics, but to shove it all in the same weekend, and they tested the same stuff several times. The handstand walk and the strict handstand push-ups is the same test of fitness. The overhead squat workout and the snatch.
Dude, if I can do
there are
I can
much
do strict
more
handstand push-ups until the sun comes up tomorrow. You put me on a handstand walk, I'm not going further than maybe 20.
They're way closer than what they could have done. They have the entire world of fitness at their fingertips.
But
and
it's not the same. You can't say they're the same. It is a little different.
At that level, though, testing those things, like to say that about yourself, Forrest, and to say that about a regionals athlete, and dude, I love you to death. But I mean, those are just two different things because those people have spent so much more time like working.
We love you and hate you to death.
It's a love-hate relationship. All the Teacuppers know that. But to say that to try and like generalize that from your point of view to someone else that's a regionals athlete just isn't fair. It's not the same thing. And I completely agree with Brandon. I feel like the overhead squat workout, or the overhead squat, which was the last workout, and the snatch workout, which was the first workout, it was basically testing the same thing. You had, 59 pull-ups?
It was 64, which for any male that qualified for regionals,
I mean, that's not a big deal. I mean, I could walk out of here and do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Unbroken,
no. But yeah, that wasn't a big deal. And then the same thing with the handstand walk and the handstand push-up. It's basically testing the same skill. So those two, that dynamic between those four workouts really frustrated me in watching the athletes kind of rise to the top. I felt like it gave those athletes with a very specific set of skills, it gave them a very, very, very strong advantage.
It double rewarded you for the
I
same
disagree.
set of skills.
I would actually, I hate it, but damn it, Forrest, I'm agreeing with Forrest on this.
Bring it.
Owned.
I think that so if there was a shoulder to overhead in there, I feel like you guys would treat that so differently than strict handstand push-ups.
I would. I would. Let me tell you why. Let me give you an example. Mr. Sam Dancer.
Samantha
Dancer, who, he does have a nose ring. Sam, we welcome you on the podcast anytime.
We just lost a listener.
We just lost all of Ohio.
Sam Dancer, I was at the Central Louis Regional, cheering on Jackson Tan and Alex Anderson, and all of our buddies there. And I've seen all these videos of Sam Dancer, and he is a freak athlete. He is stronger than piss coming out my ass. No doubt about that.
You throw that barbell over them mountains over there.
Yeah, daggum. He'll throw the mountain. Anyway, yeah, no one's doubting he is so strong and a great fit athlete. But whenever he did the strict handstand push-up workout, he was just repping them out like no problem. But on the team version of the of Nasty Girls version 0.2, they had to do clean and jerks. And all it was 135 pounds. All it was 135 pounds, and this bro, I'm sure he clean and jerks over 400 pounds, or at least he should. He is very, very, very strong.
But what you're about to say, he should be able to do. So go ahead.
He should be able to. So I'm saying that the translation between doing something very strict and the finesse that it takes and the work that it takes to really learn how to move a barbell from shoulder to overhead are two different things. So yeah, he definitely has way more strength than I do. But whenever I saw him clean and jerk 135 pounds for 15 reps or however many it was, he strict pressed the first 6 reps and he got to number 7 or 8 and he failed a rep and he had to bring it back down to his shoulders and he started to push press.
I actually think it's because Louis Simmons had a bet with him. He's like, you won't go out there and strict press 135 15 times.
In a t-shirt.
In a t-shirt. Oh, we had Sam Dancer who weighed.
Is this like the bet where you guys always try to get me to go to the meet and do Isabel when I get out there?
He actually had
Open
a
up with
3-ply
135
suit on underneath.
So what's funny is like, well, that gets into a gray area of at what point does like balance and agility and all these different aspects of fitness, there's a huge skill component to all of them, right? So, I mean, I think he very easily could push jerk 135 for days and days.
Surely.
Don't call me Shirley. And then I think that with the strict handstand push-ups, I mean, it's testing something the same, but it's also very different, I feel like all of them have aspects of skill that are very important, but at some point, like, you have to draw this distinction, and you take the one friggin' outlier, Sam Dancer, who probably, like, scores, a 6 on the Wonderlic test? I'm just kidding. Sam, you're a great guy. I love you. We miss you so much.
3 at best.
So, Grant, I'm going to come back at you here, and I'm going to... Yeah, I'm just coming back at you here. I was trying to think of something clever to say. It didn't happen. So, if you were to you have 7 workouts. You have 7 tests, air quotes there, of fitness. And you were in charge of this, and ultimately your goal was, hey, I've defined fitness. I've got these 10 different aspects. I've got 7 different tests. And you see those tests, and your job is to say, I've got 7 different tests. I can whittle. I can refine these things. Are you changing them?
The ones that were at regionals?
The ones that were at regionals.
I'm probably changing them, but I'm probably changing them every year, I'd say.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think they do change them every year. Grant.
Wait, tell me more. Alex, I've been programming for you incorrectly all along.
By the way, I just want to be noted that Forrest, like in the middle of the podcast, he's so uninvolved in this episode that he wandered off into his backyard and was looking at his phone, texting God knows who for like 10 minutes.
You're at my place, dog. You don't ask questions.
we texting the Ducks up in Cincinnati.
Hey, go
miss me.
Browns.
Shut up. We do not cheer for the Browns on this podcast.
You gave me the Browns.
Is Grant
right,
going to answer my question?
No.
Wait, what was? I know. I
No,
did
he's-
answer it. I would change it every year. I don't think it's ever been perfect every year.
I'm talking about these regionals.
Yeah, no, I would change them.
That was all right. So what would you change them to? How would you tweak them?
You put me on the spot here.
Well, I was going to ask Brandon and Alex that too.
Hey, let me ask this question just real quick.
Brandon's thought about it way more than I have because he knows exactly how he'd change them.
Let me ask this question. Do wall balls, does that settle the accuracy thing? When we talk about accuracy as being one of the components
No.
of CrossFit, hitting
Negative.
a 10-foot
Not
target
at
with
all.
a wall ball.
Not at all.
Does that get to every year? It's like,
The
oh, yeah,
accuracy
we tested
element is-
accuracy. We did wall ball shots. And I'm like, you could blindfold me and I could still do this. That's not
That
accuracy.
is not a true statement.
The accuracy, the
I
accuracy
saw
element,
top regional athletes get no repped on tons of wall balls.
Well,
I probably did 65 per round of 50
Well, no, not that it doesn't.
without wearing a blindfold.
Not that it doesn't test accuracy, but I don't think it firmly. I think accuracy is one of the most under-tested.
Yeah,
But how do you test accuracy with CrossFit movements and
I
equipment?
don't care, man. They can put the little things like going across the stage, and you got to throw footballs into the net. I don't care. Hit free throws. Give you a basketball and say hit more than
That's
5 out
more
of 10
gimmicky
free
than a
throws.
handstand
But
walk.
I don't care. Yes,
far
it is
as-
gimmicky, but they got
But
to test
here's
that.
the thing.
I get
is
it
it's
gets
just like
old.
yeah, like I think the softball workout was a super gimmick in 2000.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how are you going to pull that out? And there's
Quote,
never
quote,
been any.
workout.
There's
But-
never been
but-
anything near that.
But I think we have to address the simple fact that not CrossFitters here at this podcast right now, but CrossFitters like Jason Kalipa, for example, have no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. Like, you're gonna say
I'm
he got
sorry.
second at the games. Dude can't throw a baseball with his kid. He can't play catch in the backyard. Like, that's a problem. You know what I mean?
That's what's wrong with America, Jason. Come on.
All right, so Brandon, Alex, I want you guys to. You guys have spent countless hours preparing for regionals. This was the big weekend. What kind of things did you test? Because I mean, both of you have smart coaches, we're assuming, and they adequately prepared you for regionals, trying to think through every possible scenario, measuring all these different variables they've seen in the games, in the open, and local throwdowns. Blah, blah, blah. Explosion! So, like, I really want you to walk me through how well, like, there's all these things that you've done day to day, week to week, month to month. How well do you think regionals did of actually testing all those things you prepared for?
So, I mean, I'm like I said earlier, I'm not really super familiar with those 10 aspects that y'all have been talking about, but I mean, I thought they did an okay job, honestly. I mean, obviously the programming was not super great for me. I mean, but nonetheless, where am I going with this? I've said it before. I mean, you're seeing these top athletes continue to rise to the top every time. So obviously, the programming is somewhat accurate if that's happening, right?
But I mean, say for example, I mean, obviously in the Central East, like that top, like Rich won.
Correct.
Scott got second. Everyone expected that to happen.
Yeah.
Julie Fouché won. Michelle Kinney got third.
Who got second?
Who got second?
Yeah.
In women's? Man, I don't remember.
You just skipped a spot there.
It was Holcomb. She got Holcomb got second.
Yes.
Anyway, like there were no like real big surprises. Like Graham was right there on the edge, so you can't really say he choked or
Correct,
anything.
yeah.
Like he's been finishing third, fourth. But like let's say, I mean, like for example, Europe, Sam Briggs, like she didn't finish there. Like you say, like the cream rises to the top, but we're like the overall in all the regionals, we're starting to see like the cream, quote unquote, not rise to the top. Like Chad McKay went to the games last year. He finished 16th. Your boy, what's his name?
Dan Petro.
Dan Petro went to the games last year. He finished like 100th or something.
All right.
What up, Dan?
We're burning so many bridges for future guests.
We pull no punches here.
I feel like that's kind of weak, though. We're picking out like 3 athletes. I mean, Nate Schrader didn't go to the games 2 years ago. Are we going to say like, oh, Nate Schrader sucks? No, we're not, because he just was in second place.
But you're trying to change the subject here.
No, I mean, like Sam Briggs, yeah, very shocking. Daniel Petro, really that shock? I mean, like, is Petro so sick that you're just like, oh my god, he did not go to the game?
No, I'm using it as an example though. I mean, like a games athlete, like I'm not saying I expected him to go back again, but I mean, I expected him to finish top 7.
The problem is this year, especially, everything's gotten so close. There's so much parity among regional athletes that the programming is becoming more and more indicative of the outcome. So this year, there was a guy in the Northwest, I forget his name, but finished like 46th in the Open. Got second in regionals, was a gymnast in college. Noah Olson this year in the Southeast was, never really had a chance last year. Wins the region going away this year, was a gymnast in college. The programming was just for Sam Briggs and for Dan Petro. Maybe it was that one workout, maybe it was the whole weekend, whatever it was, just wasn't their programming forte. And that's what puts them out of it. In years past, those kind of athletes could have made up for it. And, Rich and Scott Panchak are that kind of athlete to where they still can make up anything. But for the athletes that are, what's the word for between top tier and elite, Taylor? Whatever that is.
The brown zone?
Yeah.
Bill Browns.
Wherever that brown zone is, it's still programming dependent on the qualifiers for the games.
That's actually an interesting. Well, as you were talking, I thought, man, that's an interesting point. Now I forgot what the interesting point was. I think I remember. How important is that there is so much parity? The friggin' CrossFit regionals looks like the NBA now. That's not great. What's a good sport that has good parity?
Record, Grant has not put anything non-alcoholic in his body for the last 72 hours.
That's
so his
totally
thoughts
true.
are totally not in the great place.
So Taylor, you're a sports guy. Is it like biathlon? Is that a good one that doesn't have a lot of parity or has a lot of parity? I mean,
a lot of parity. Probably go to the NFL. I mean, there's a ton of parity in the
NFL
NFL right now.
I like that.
Collective
Except for the Browns, there's no parity there. We've been held down for so long. We're about to rise up.
That's bad ownership. Collective bargaining.
Jimmy Haslam's a saint.
Yes, he is, and a good business dealer as well.
So I guess what I was going to ask is, with the parity that exists now in CrossFit, and when you see them at regionals, is it a bad thing, Brandon, that the programming now has so much to do with the outcome of regionals?
Wow, put me on the spot.
Go with your gut. We always go with our gut here.
we don't think. We just talk.
So then, no, I don't, because no matter what you put out there, there's always going to be that lean towards one person or one skill or one ability. I mean, I don't even know a lot of the guys in the Southeast, for example, that well, but I feel like I could program a weekend and I could have, I could pick my choice of 3 of the top 15 guys and I could make them qualify with whatever I program. Now, the Central East is a little different since Rich has been so dominant at everything thrown at him for the last 3 years. I feel like no matter what you put, he's going to win. But in a lot of the regions or among a lot of the top athletes, that parity is...
So maybe we say this. There's there's kind of the the guys who are just happy to make it to regionals. There's those guys that are in the mix that might mix up the leaderboard a little bit from time to time, but they're going to be middle of the pack most of the time. And then there are those 5 to 7 athletes in every region that are standout athletes, and they've got a legit chance at making a run for it. And I was trying to pitch this to you guys, and hopefully you'd take me there. But
Sell to us?
I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell this. But I feel like with the Stacy Tovar, the Graham Holmberg, the Sam Briggs, a lot of the athletes that aren't making
Maybe Lindsay Valenzuela.
Yeah, the athletes that aren't making the games this year, like, I feel like there's an essential flaw in the programming, and yeah, you might have those athletes that their specific skills might lean a little bit more into what is being tested a little bit more heavily at regionals this year. Like Sam Briggs won the games last year, and do you think that she's kind of trickled off in her training?
I agree with you on Sam Briggs, but tell me why it's a flaw if Stacey Tovar doesn't make the games. Why is that a flaw?
No, she was just one of my examples. But all right, I'll say this: Will Morad, love the dude to death. He is our friend from the next city over. He's been in our gym. He's an amazing competitor.
Congratulations, Will, by the way.
Yeah,
The
seriously,
next city over?
in Nashville, the next big city over.
The listeners don't know Tennessee
There's
very
a
well.
lot of cities between us and Nashville, dog.
God, stop.
There's not cities. Cookeville and Crossville do not count.
Crossville-
Sorry, Rich.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But okay,
Bold
so
move.
Will Morad did an amazing job at regionals, and dadgummit, he didn't get any media play, which is another podcast that pisses me off. But like, do you guys really think that Will Morad is a better games competitor, is a better CrossFitter than Graham Holmberg?
Well, it's like this. Frame it. I'll twist your question slightly. Do you think that who won the Super Bowl last year?
Seahawks.
The Seahawks.
Shut up.
Who was their quarterback?
An idiot who graduated from Wisconsin.
Okay, so not Forrest. There's too much emotion. Too much emotion. Do you, Caleb and Taylor, and Brandon and Alex? Do you guys think that that San Francisco is a better team than the Seahawks?
It doesn't matter if you do or don't. The game was played and the Seahawks won.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
getting to that point where you can't look at the history anymore. Like previous history doesn't dictate prior future
But let's say
performance
this,
or
though.
whatever.
This is like the question I asked Taylor last week about refereeing. It's a totally different question because you're looking at home field advantage. Like CrossFit games don't have – it's not like they're saying, oh, the games this year are in Cookeville and there's 10,000 fans of Rich Froning just cheering for him the whole time. So it's
Even
a
though
little
in
bit different of a
Cincinnati,
question.
there were still 10,000 fans of Rich Froning there.
And yes, on a neutral ground, the 49ers win that game.
But no, well, that I feel like I understand what you're saying, and I think there's some legitimacy there. You can't. It's a completely different sport because it's played differently every single game. So you can't say.
So is CrossFit.
so it's every year.
Hey,
CrossFit's different.
I just want to take a time out because I researched this. I was looking at Cinco 1, which was the Metcon from the games last year. That had
The WOD.
So Samantha Briggs wadded, and she had to do a handstand walk in that. And I have no idea how she did. She could have messed up anywhere in that. But she took 12th place, and that was the one that had the handstand walk in it. So she may have done horrible in that handstand walk. We should probably do our research before I should have done my research before I said this.
But that was the same one as the deadlifts, correct?
Yeah, so I mean, she could have
she's not a stronger athlete. That's probably the deadlifts that got her on that one.
She could have messed up at any point, but I mean, if you go back and watch that and she gets the handstand walks and just fails miserably, then this is something that she should have known, like, hey, I suck at this. I probably should work on this to get ready.
Here's the other problem with that. I'm going to segue to the judging a little bit.
Whoa,
are you judging? Hold on.
We'll get to that. Hey, I like the
You're going to be
judging.
on the judging for 60 minutes, so let's
Yeah.
let's wrap some things up before you get there.
They actually had the
I wanna go
refs
back
from the
to Caleb's-
Seahawks 49ers
Caleb's
game.
point. So I mean, but you're talking about an entire season elapsing, which I guess is better to a certain extent because there's more data points along the way, which you would hope by the end of the season they play 16 games in a regular season.
Sure.
Are we counting preseason and the Pro Bowl and the
16.
playoffs?
16.
You got to give me that. I've been doing my research. on the
16
league.
matches. 16 matches.
16 matches, and they don't accept draws. So
Actually, they do, Grant. If they go to overtime,
no, that's true.
and
I knew
nobody
that
scores-
1 15-minute period, and if it's still tied, it's yeah. But that's new. That's new as of what, a year or two ago?
I guess.
Yeah,
two,
yeah. Anyway, since my Browns came back from the franchise being on hold from 95 to 98, so regionals, so there's more data points along the way in an NFL season, whereas from the Open, you have 5 data points there with the workouts, and then you have 7 workouts this year for regionals. So you're up to 12. I mean, it's almost getting on par, I guess. Like, at what point? I don't know. I think there's something there.
It's like 1/7 of your entire year is based on one handstand walk. Think about that.
No,
Dude,
not
it
1/7,
sucks.
1/12.
Dude, it sucks. But I mean, think about the people who were kind of good at gymnastics and every year going in and like, damn it.
But who beat Sam Briggs this year? Every single one of the top 3 women in Europe was a former like high level gymnast. Not like oh, I went to let it shine, but like
I think we can all
I
agree
competed for
though.
my-
But
I
what about
competed
the
for my country
what about
on a
the other
national
regions?
level?
Did any gymnast beat Rich Froning? Did any gymnast beat Josh Bridges? I mean, like
Were
we
there
can't
any
just
gymnasts
look
in their region? Any former male gymnasts?
I
in
would
there?
imagine they're probably. I mean,
You don't know. You don't know.
well, give me 5
Lawyered.
seconds. I'll find it out.
Hashtag lawyered,
Yeah,
bitch.
seriously. Hey,
So,
where's
no,
my
that's-
wife? Can somebody find my wife? This is bullshit. This cannot happen at my house.
I think everything Grant's saying is really valid, and so here's another from the broad point of perspective of sports. You can make a mistake in sports and come back from it. Can you make a mistake?
Colin Kaepernick.
Can you make a mistake in CrossFit and come back from it in a regionals competition?
That's a good question.
No,
Bonnie teased
I don't
that.
think you can.
I
It
think-
depends on your region, really.
Depends on the region. I think that's right. But let me ask you this: are we maybe looking at it from a lens of the sports that we like and the sports that we're typically watching? Like, is this just a new sport? It's different. We shouldn't look at it like that. I would say no. I think actually we probably need some type of way to come back from a mistake because that's inherent, right? In competition, you're going to mess up on something. So what do you do though? Do you wait? If you weight different workouts, less than others, then you're playing favorites. Do you add more workouts? I don't know. That's getting to be kind of muddled a little
you
bit.
lose and you train harder the next season. That's the way it goes. I mean,
I think that's one way to look at it, but I think you'd have people in other sports, just like the NFL, that would say the same thing.
I don't disagree. Alex is completely right. If you're looking at it from a competitor's perspective, and I've looked at it that way before, you got to just say, F it. Like, whatever you give me, you're giving me, and I'm going to do the very best I can and, like, let the chips fall where they may. Like, if you screw up on one, like, and I think Sam Briggs did a great job of this, even though she didn't qualify, like, she just completely effed up day one, like, just flushed it down the toilet, basically, and then she came back and she finished 4th. And that's exactly what you have to do. Like, she got close. Like,
also Elijah Muhammad did a great job of that, too. Came 2 points away from
right,
coming
exactly.
back.
But
And I would also like to cite
at the same
like
time,
Graham
we're
Holberg.
looking at it from like a broader perspective, not from an athlete's perspective necessarily, but from a coaching perspective. Like, if you're writing up the games, like, you want to see for the sport, like, you want to see people come back. You don't want to see it get stuck where, oh, like, I messed up on day 1 and now there's no chance in hell of me of me even placing, even though I get first. Like,
Here's what I think. I think CrossFit programmed the regionals intentionally the way they did this year because they wanted to go more heavy on gymnastics, and they assumed, or I guess that they were going to have all their athletes return, and they were close. I mean, they did a pretty good job. Sam Briggs faltered, and she came in 4th, which was very close. But for the most part, and especially they got those invites in their back pocket too, which is pretty nice. But
I agree that there was kind of an agenda for this.
Yes.
And we talked about that on, I think, 2 podcasts ago. But ultimately, they say they're going out to find the fittest person, and surely consistency comes into that. But there needs to be some kind of wiggle room for error. Like, if you make an error, you should be able to make up for that. It shouldn't ruin your complete chances at going to the games. And that's... Like, Sam Briggs was the fittest person on earth last year, and for her to not qualify for the games...
she really messed up one workout.
Yeah, she didn't do great on maybe another workout, but I think in a roundabout way, I've been trying to say this the whole time, like, I feel like the regionals did a poor job at testing overall fitness because your reigning champion, who did not just stop training last year... In fact, I'm sure she picked up training. Can't even qualify the next year. There's something wrong with the test. If the person who scores the highest on the last test takes another test the next year and they fail, then there's something wrong with the test. It's not something wrong with the student.
See, I just cannot make myself agree with that. I really can't because God, like I said, it's been. If you see something at the games level the year before, you should probably expect something similar at the regional level. And that's kind of like a question I wanted to ask Grant. Like, if Grant sees that they're going to do, if they're going to hold on, if Grant sees that they're going to do weighted pistols. Maybe you don't expect that at the regionals, but you should probably plan for it. So he should have his athletes doing some kind of pistol that's different than just a regular pistol.
So when the 49ers don't prepare for the Seattle Seahawks playing defense next year,
what the hell? I mean, like, what do you want me to say? On a neutral ground, we win that game. We went to their house, the loudest stadium, and lost at like the last minute.
Do you really
because Colin
think
Kaepernick cannot throw to the end?
God, stop.
I hate Colin Kaepernick.
Do you really think that Sam Briggs wasn't handstand walking all the time? I'm sure she's better than what her.
She did horrible. If you follow her on Instagram, she posted a handstand walking pic every week for the last like 10 or 12 weeks.
Here's the problem
Walking
with the
how far?
handstand walk, and it was the same problem with the snatch this year. There was no room for error inherent in the event. There was one attempt at a handstand walk. Maybe Sam Briggs can walk 800 feet
Testing
unbroken
accuracy?
for the last year, and maybe she fudged up at, 55 feet, whatever it was this year.
And that's the problem. It's
one
the
attempt,
format,
and
not
gets
the movement, the format.
right.
And
Same for
one
the snatch.
attempt is-
CrossFitters are not Olympic lifters. They're not gymnasts. They're not. I mean, an Olympic lifting meet is 3 attempts. But CrossFitters are not Olympic lifters. We have the 10 domains of fitness, whatever Caleb was talking about earlier. To expect
Balance,
that amount of
balance.
to expect that amount of precision to be able to hit 3 lifts like that, one handstand walk attempt, it's too much. There needs to be some sort of way to come back from error.
But we want to get there, right? We want to be at that level of all those 10 disciplines or all those different sports. Like, I think, Taylor, what you're saying is in 2012.
Was I saying it? You sure?
No. I mean, I'm going to go right after you because you were talking for so long. The 2012 Olympics in London, Michaela Maroney, one mistake, and it puts her out of a gold medal. Like, are you going to go to bat for her as well? Talk to me.
No, because she wasn't impressed with anyone else, so she didn't deserve it.
See, you don't even know what you're talking about.
No, did she have? Was it really one error?
Yeah, it was one. It was one event. It was one event.
Floor routine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean,
one thing real quick.
I think gymnastics is the most subjective sport in the whole wide world, and
Slightly.
and you know what other sport besides CrossFit has a huge problem with judging and the scoring system is gymnastics. It's a huge controversial issue in that sport as well.
Yeah,
So
everyone has seen Stick It. That is a great
exactly.
great movie on that. So Nate Schrader just qualified for the games.
Second place.
For the game.
5 points
Top
behind
tier.
Ben Smith, who is top tier.
Yes. Well, let me ask this question.
Still not top tier.
Here, I just want to go ahead and say what add on to what Forrest said earlier. I totally agree with Forrest in that the time that we're at in the sport, the way the sport is right now, there can be no deficiencies in your game. If you want to be a regionals athlete, there needs to be no weaknesses at all, and that's just the way it goes.
But here's
That
my
was a
question:
regional athlete who said that. No,
if you miss one handstand walk, you have one.
So
attempt.
here's
If you miss it. Does that indicate that you have
no, and you're right,
efficiency
and
in the game?
that's the one. I mean, I wasn't, obviously too keen about the strict handstand push-ups and this and that. I mean, those aren't my strengths. But one, I think, easy fix would have just made the handstand walk a time domain instead of one attempt. 2 minutes max meters. When you fall back, you mark your spot and go
even
again.
3 attempts instead of 1.
No,
So-
I don't agree with the 3 attempts because then your shoulder's going to be burnt and you're never – I mean, not never, but most of the time
Well,
you're
I
not going to
said-
have a better attempt.
I
your
was
second
thinking
time.
like
Yeah.
3 or 5 attempts. You walk as far as you can. If you make it all the way across the mat, then you make it all the way across the mat. And you
There's
get there,
one rep, basically.
There's one rep. And like if you make it 5 meters, then you make it 5 meters or feet or whatever. And then you walk all the way across to the other mat, other side, and you turn around. And then
Yeah.
you have like 1 minute for each attempt. 5 minutes, logistically very easy to run. Like and then it's done like that.
I think.
You have to remember these are all opinions. This is how we would do it. We are not.
Well, sure. That's all this podcast is a bunch of opinions pissed into a teacup.
To be fair, your opinion is that anabolic steroids don't help people get stronger. So
I never go back and listen to the last podcast. I never said
You
that.
haven't listened to it, Forrest.
They would not make you a better CrossFitter.
Okay, so I think we wrap this one up, and I would concede that we could tweak the handstand walk a little bit to make it better. But I think also what might be interesting because of the Sam Briggs thing, you have a past games champion that didn't make it to the games. How many Super Bowl champions don't make it to the playoffs the next year? I think I think that this AFC North, they're a rival of the Browns. Go Browns!
There's a lot of drafting.
Hey, there
that
was a
goes
chance
on
the
there.
40.
Free
Hey,
agency.
there was a chance the 49ers might not make the playoffs. It happens.
Yeah.
Dude. That is the parity of
I
sport.
just think that the history that right now we have 5 years of CrossFit Games in kind of this format with the Open and all that. The history will probably prove out that like more often than not, past games champions make it to regionals. I think this might end up being an outlier.
Yeah, and let me say this: I like every single workout in the regionals independently, but collectively, I do not like them as a whole. Like every single one of them, I think is a really. And honestly, yeah, the last workout, the pull-ups overhead squat workout, I love it. I think it's awesome. But paired with the
after the first six workouts, it's like
I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to Brandon. He started to talk about judging previously, and so this is a bigger picture on standards as well, and just kind of like arena setup and everything for regionals. So I've got event 5, which is legless, which was Brandon's shining moment at regionals this year. Which I think
what time did Brandon get?
I think Brandon got a 3:49,
yeah.
and then Alex got
3:47.
3:47. Okay, so Alex got him by 2 seconds on that. We can go back and watch the video. Brandon claims that it was a 3:46, and that's what the announcers were saying. Check the archive footage, listeners. But Brandon, on event 5, the top 7 times in the world. Well, first off, the top 4 times in the world are all from Latin America. 5 and 6 are from Australia. 7 from Europe, and then finally you get into the Southeast with Elijah Muhammad. Tell me what's up there with the top 4 times in that workout in event 5, legless, being all from Latin America, with all 4 of those guys worldwide placing over 1,000th. Over 100th place. One of which is in 300th place. So talk to me about that.
I assume you heard about the Latin America regionals, but I guess not, given the question. There were all sorts of issues with logistics and the way it was run, so much so that Castro had to fly down there from the Southeast regionals on Friday to Latin America on Saturday to fix their shit, whatever it was. So from what I heard, their venue or their marker for the 100-foot sprint, whatever it was not accurate, and they all ran shorter. Hence why 8 guys from Latin America all beat Elijah Muhammad in that event.
Which shouldn't be possible.
Shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
But whenever you do breaking news on this podcast, you always go.
I assume you knew it's not breaking news, like 2 weeks old, but anyway.
I hadn't heard about it, man.
Interesting. Tell us about the judging at regionals, Brandon.
So the judging wasn't great, but that's not the initial problem with regionals. The problem was the events. There's too much in the hands of volunteer judges. So these judges, in most cases, are less experienced than the athletes they're judging, have less time in the sport, less exposure to competitions in the sport. And generally speaking, of course, there might be certain judges that have more. But the problem is they're in events like legless or like the last event, they're so fast, and for the top athletes, one missed rep at a 205 overhead squat or a legless rope climb is 10% of your. It's 20 seconds. It's 15 places. It's huge.
Hello, Mr. Richie.
Hey, can I ask you, Brandon, how are you basing that? Like less experience? Do you know the judges? Because I don't know. I'm just saying. Like,
just from speaking to the judges at the Southeast and just introduce myself before the event. Hey, so and so, how long you been CrossFitting? Whatever. Just it seems to be in general they have less experience than most of the athletes that are there. And again, that's not specifically to a certain judge or a certain region. Just generally speaking.
I will say that I saw some of the regionals judges in my region, and I know who they are, and I'm not going to name names, but they are some of the people that some of them have reputations for not knowing what standards are in local competitions and whatnot. And so I agree with Brandon.
Taylor is from Chicago, Illinois.
So anyways, my point being,
Chicago and
North
Taylor just
Central.
agreed with Brandon Bergin.
Central.
Holy Lord.
North.
My point
Force
being,
address is
on
2010 Kirkland Boulevard, Maryville, Tennessee. We are here right now. Come
so
and get us.
of the regional 7 events, there's 4 events to where a single no rep is debilitating for top athletes. If you miss a single 205 overhead squat and have to drop the bar, your event is over. That's 10 or 12, 15 places. Same for a legless rope climb, same for a handstand walk, and same for a snatch. A no rep on one of 3 snatches, it ruins your event. There's too much in the hands of these judgment calls for these judges, and the problem is that CrossFit has given the judges so much power that they'll sit behind them on anything in no rep, and you can't even argue with it. That's it.
Yeah, something that really Well, first of all, we've got people discussing in the back, which is going to ruin the bleed over. But
Says our editor.
Yeah, as the editor in chief of the Storm and the Teacups, very prestigious.
We were talking about this week's programming, man. We're trying to get him set up for the.
He has an
combine.
apple.
Come on.
Right.
He's top tier.
He is, no doubt. Yeah, something. Whoa, Brandon, you got something to say? So, God bless, I forgot my whole train of thought here.
Judging events.
Well, I think it was a mistake to get into judging since we're already an hour into the podcast. Brandon could wax poetically for days on the judging.
Very true.
Here's the other problem with the judging.
No, seriously though. I mean, but this is a problem that CrossFit's had for a long time. It happened a couple years ago where an athlete got kind of possibly screwed out of the games.
Are you still butthurt over?
I'm just saying, like this happened a long time ago, but now.
the refs bad in the
but
AFC
here's
Championship
the
too?
thing. Yeah, man, dude hit my punter's foot, which is a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. F those refs and you too, Colin Kaepernick. This is not me excusing you, but anyways, I mean, there's been judging issues in the past. This is now that the media exposure's happened, you get to see it a little bit more often. Like your Lindsey Valenzuela's,
Danielle Seidel.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
She's not going to the games anyways. But now with the media exposure, you're getting to see what these other athletes are dealing with in the judges, and you're not just hearing it on somebody's blog or on their Facebook status update. So, I mean, it's whatever, though. But you got to overcome that.
So let me
In
ask
the
you
end,
this.
you have to pull an Alex Anderson. You got to overcome it. Do the work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about is, are these top tier athletes, are judges willing to give these athletes no reps? I mean, granted, they generally have superb, flawless standards, but me and Taylor were talking earlier about Rich's handstand walk, and Taylor said he would have no repped him, right?
Absolutely.
And I know it would be tough if I was a judge in that situation. You no rep Rich Froning and take it. I mean, it wouldn't. We talked about it. Wouldn't
If
take.
you're gonna hold one,
Right.
if you're gonna hold everybody to one standard, then you need to hold everybody
Right.
to one standard.
Do you think that's a flaw at all? Are those top tier athletes, Josh Bridges, Rich Froning, Scott Pinch, are they receiving any kind of special?
It's a little hindsight,
treatment.
though. It's a little hindsight. Now
It's
that we
hindsight.
watch it, we see it. But in the moment, we're all
Right.
psyched. Rich Fronings's completing his walk,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
3P.
No.
You're like, go, Rich. Go, man. You're done. You're the 3P
right?
champion.
But that's I see what you're saying. I know, and I totally know that feeling of like, oh, like he's killing it, great. But that's the problem with volunteer judges. If you don't have a judge who's getting paid and like has that, incentive to do their job well, and they're just a volunteer and like, oh man, I love CrossFit, I love Rich, like I love you, man. I'm gonna judge you for this workout. This is gonna be so great. Like, they're gonna be a lot more hesitant to be a dick, so to speak, and just say, dude, look, the standard is you gotta get both your hands over the line before you turn around. You didn't do it. No rep.
So if they were a paid judge and they missed that call, they'd be fired, or they would have been disciplined. Somehow.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. And that's why. And I mean, and it's economic incentives. And I know that's like a kind of a cynical way to look at it.
I'm
but-
sorry, I zoned out until that. What are you talking about? Economic incentives?
But no, here's the sad thing, though. Like, even if you look at it at the Major League Baseball or NFL level, though, those referees, if they make a horrible call, their penalty is
They're
they
on
get.
the hot seat.
Yeah, they're on the hot seat, but they don't face like a it's an M word, money, monetary. Yeah, there's
But
no
they face-
yeah, there's
It's
no
an M word.
there's no menage a trois that applies to them.
But they
If miss
face
a
more.
call.
They face way more than a CrossFit judge.
Dave Castro's kind of a dick.
We talked about this on the last podcast. Like, if I were to no rep Rich, whenever he did his last burpee and he jumped with not 2 feet, and Scott Panchik would have beaten him, which he deserved to beat him. It's very obvious.
He's the champ. Nobody deserves to beat him.
Well, all right. So if I was his judge, I would have given him a no rep. If I was looking down, I wasn't so excited about Rich's. Oh, it's Rich. I'm tightening my pants.
Dude, these judges are all like freshmen in high school. They're walking boners. They see the CrossFit celebrity. Oh, there's Scott Panchik. There's Rich Froning.
So you're saying the entire judging staff is homosexual, and
No, I'm just
their
saying
whole
they're-
agenda is to
They're
get
freshmen in high school. They see the senior hot chick and they're walking boners down the hallway, man. They got to go in the bathroom and get rid of that shit.
How many judges were up tucking at the Central East Regionals when Rich was going?
A lot of Texas tucks in the South Central this year.
Including myself, actually.
Yeah, actually, other athletes were tucking. Scott Panchik was like, "Oh, Rich Froning, I'm chasing him."
Lord.
Dead air,
I think
dead
we
air.
might have we might have spent ourselves.
I think we just finished.
We just jumped the shark.
I'm going to finish this. Brandon Bergin, I want to thank you for coming on. Alex Anderson, thank you. But Brandon Bergin, you're an asshole because you cost me money. So next time,
we definitely just finished because Taylor just dropped salsa on my laptop.
Hey, Brandon, next time try not winning at legless and costing me money. Dick.
Because we made a bet. I said that you would get I think it's the top five in that workout, and Forrest took me up on that.
Well,
bet.
he had inside trader information.
Forrest,
one of the
he took
athletes
me-
was
he took
texting him,
me and
"Yo,
Grant
bro."
up on
Yeah.
What did you win, Grant?
$20. But Caleb said top 10, I think. So he had a little bit less
I think
confidence in you.
Caleb was like top 7 or something. So
we can go back and we can listen to it.
Yeah,
Forrest
so
won't,
you-
but we will.
Regardless, you lost horribly.
Yeah,
just
you
like
owe
the
me-
Niners in the NFC Championship game.
about that $20, bro.
Let's do this. Let's
About
end it
that.
with our two guests, and we'll have Alex go first because I think Brandon's gonna have something really good for this. What is? I will do two different things.
Okay.
Alex, you tell the listeners at home if they want to make regionals next year. What is a couple things that they could work on? I'm gonna give you 60 seconds. Go.
I think the most important thing is to practice your gymnastics and efficiency and movements. That's it. After that, it depends what your weaknesses are, but conditioning and strength work based on what you need. So
Do they need to work on shirtlessness and being outside shirtless?
yes, that's definitely part of it. Look good, feel good, play good. So
So let me get this straight. I need to work on my gymnastics, my conditioning, and my strength.
Also shirtlessness. Don't forget shirtlessness. That's the
So I
core
think-
physical.
no, I
skills.
think I've talked to all these guys here about it. I think people miss out on practicing and working on the gymnastics and their efficiency in their Olympic lifts, because when you build efficiency in those movements, it makes everything so much easier, therefore not requiring as big of an engine / tank, whatnot. I mean, if you watch Rich do all his stuff, he does them so smoothly and so beautiful that he doesn't have to tax himself as much, and that I think that's huge.
I think the big takeaway from that, from a coach's standpoint, is that so many people they just want to lift the heaviest amount of weight as possible all the freaking time, and that's all they're concerned about. And watching Lex day in, day out, and especially kind of speculating here for Grant's point of view, but as a coach and programmer of Alex, I see him all the time. Like, he's not just moving the heaviest load possible. He's not just sitting there, doing a 30-minute grinder. He's doing these conditioning pieces and strength movements like very, very fluidly.
Sometimes it's a bunch of light loads in addition to a real heavy load.
Generally the heavier loads.
Yeah, and I mean, he's doing those things with a high level of finesse, and he's learning how to become I hate to use this word, like the virtuoso.
Yeah.
Stroking it,
And yeah,
So-
like you said, Caleb, so many people are obsessed with going in there and just lifting the heaviest weight possible, and they think if they do like a hero type WOD and just wreck their body that they're getting better, and that's not always the case. So.
Yeah, the one workout at regionals this year was maximal load. Everything else was sub-maximal, so practice your
Exactly, yeah, perfect
sub-maximal
example.
efficiency.
Yeah,
For
unless your
Brandon
Brer's
Bergin,
doing
six
hang
of the
cleans.
7 WODs were maximal weight. So let's hear from Brandon Bergin, and this is what I want to ask you, Brandon. What are you going to do differently next year, not only to get you to regionals, but to improve your regionals performance?
If you don't say shoulder mobility, we get to punch you.
Invest in
Yeah.
crossover symmetry.
Do I have 60
I'll sell you mine
seconds
for
also?
$300.
No, the answer being, I thought I was very well prepared for regionals this year. I knew I had 2 or 3 really glaring holes, and those 2 or 3 holes were exposed in multiple workouts.
And it kind of
So-
sucked that you were the first weekend.
That too. You can, some of that stuff like handstand walks, you can gain a lot of volume in that over the course of a month, but in 9 days, whatever, I was lucky to not get a 0 for that workout. So the answer to your question is overhead position, overhead mobility, overhead movements in general, specifically snatch, overhead squat, handstand push-ups, whatever, and then continue to work on my work capacity.
Can you tell us more about exposing your holes to the entire Southeast region?
Actually,
Castor already did that.
Actually, we stumbled upon a new definition for what touch and go might mean last night. Kirsten, who is Brandon's dominant partner, she was talking about touch and go reps, and she touched Brandon's leg, and he went.
She touches Brandon goes.
But it left bruises on her quad, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, so
When
I mean,
Brandon
evidently
goes-
Brandon and Kirsten are doing a lot of touch and go reps on the homestead.
When Brendan goes, he goes with the thunder.
All of Atlanta feels it.
Fayetteville.
All right.
I hear that we have a lot of listeners in
that was
Fayetteville.
good. I think we really wrapped it up nicely.
Wait.
Forrest didn't wrap it up.
Yeah, nope. I was about to say, when do
Haven't
we
been
ever
rapping
wrap
since
it up?
83.
We're at the home of Daddy Longs. Like, he does not wrap anything
Just
up.
keep going all night long.
I see Taylor's wife looking at me through the blinds.
I see
She is
Caleb's
glaring,
wife.
and
looks
Caleb's
angry.
wife.
She got a margarita. It's
You know who-
scary.
You know whose wife is not looking through there? Mine, because she knows her role. She's in a kitchen.
Oh,
She's out of the house. She left you.
Listen,
Caleb,
dude,
edit,
the listeners
edit
don't
all
know
of
that.
Edit all of that. Forrest, do you want to leave us with your classic?
You suck, and so does your programming.
That's it. That's
All
the
right,
one.
There we go.
Bye bye.